The wind howled outside, rattling the old windows of my house. I stood in the kitchen, carving the roasted lamb, the scent of rosemary and garlic filling the air. My family's laughter echoed from the dining room, glasses clinking, voices rising in celebration. It should have been a perfect Thanksgiving, but something was wrong. Something was missing. If you enjoy powerful stories like this, don't forget to subscribe for more. I glanced at the clock. It was nearly 5. The sun had set, and the world outside was already dark and cold. I looked around the table. My son, Mark, his wife, Julia, their 2 boys, and my daughter, Lisa, with her husband, Tom. They were all here, plates piled high, eyes bright with holiday cheer. But my granddaughter, Emma, was nowhere to be seen. Emma was Lisa's daughter from her first marriage. She was 12, quiet, and a little shy. She'd always been my shadow, following me around the garden, helping me fix things in the garage. But lately she'd been withdrawn, her eyes sad, her voice barely above a whisper. I asked Lisa, "Where's Emma?" Lisa barely looked up from her phone. "She's probably in her room. She said she wasn't hungry." Mark snorted. "That girl's always sulking. Let her be." Julia rolled her eyes. "She's old enough to take care of herself." I felt a pang of anger. It's Thanksgiving. No one should be alone. Tom shrugged. "She'll come out when she wants to." I set down the carving knife, my appetite gone. I walked down the hall to Emma's room and knocked softly. No answer. I opened the door. The room was empty, the bed neatly made, the window cracked open. A cold gust of wind swept in, making me shiver. I hurried outside, my heart pounding. The yard was dark, the grass stiff with frost. I called her name, my voice swallowed by the wind. No answer. I checked the garage, the garden, the old treehouse. Nothing. Then I saw her, curled up on the back porch, her arms wrapped around her knees, her breath coming in shaky clouds. She wore only a thin sweater, her cheeks red with cold. I rushed to her side, pulling off my coat and wrapping it around her shoulders. "Emma, what are you doing out here?" She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. "They locked me out, Grandpa. I tried to come in, but the door was locked. I knocked, but no one heard me. Rage boiled in my chest. I carried her inside, cradling her like I had when she was a baby. The warmth of the house hit us like a wave. The family looked up, startled. Lisa frowned. "What's going on?" I glared at her. Emma was outside, freezing. Who locked the door? Mark shrugged. "She probably went out without telling anyone." Julia smirked. "She's always so dramatic." I clenched my fists. "She's a child. She could have gotten sick. Or worse." Tom rolled his eyes. "You're overreacting, Dad. She's fine." I ignored them, leading Emma to the fireplace. I sat her down, wrapped her in a blanket, and made her a cup of hot chocolate. She sipped it slowly, her hands shaking. As she warmed up, she whispered, "They don't want me here, Grandpa. They said I ruin everything." My heart broke. I looked at my family, my own flesh and blood, and saw strangers. I stood, my voice cold and steady. "If you can't treat Emma with kindness, you don't deserve to be in this house." Mark scoffed. "You're being ridiculous." Lisa's eyes flashed. "Don't talk to us like that, Dad. You always take her side." I stared at them, my anger simmering. Maybe I do. Because she's the only one who remembers what family means. The room fell silent. The only sound was the crackle of the fire and Emma's quiet sobs. I made a decision then and there. I would not let this go. I would not let them hurt her again. I sat with Emma by the fire, watching the color return to her cheeks. She clung to my arm, her eyes never leaving the flames. I could feel her shivering, not just from the cold, but from something deeper, something that had been building for months. The rest of the family returned to their meal, their laughter forced, their eyes avoiding mine. I heard Mark mutter, always making a scene, and Julia's sharp reply, "He spoils that girl." I ignored them. I focused on Emma, brushing her hair back from her face. "You're safe now, sweetheart. I promise." She nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. "They said I'm not really family, that I'm just a burden." My jaw tightened. "You are my granddaughter. You belong here. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise." She managed a small smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, I heard Emma crying in her room. I sat beside her, holding her hand as she poured out her heart. "They hide my things, Grandpa. They laugh at me when you're not around. Lisa says I remind her of my dad, and that's why she can't stand me." I felt a cold fury settle in my chest. I'd suspected things were bad, but I hadn't realized how deep the cruelty ran. The next morning, I confronted Lisa in the kitchen. "Why are you so hard on Emma? She's your daughter." Lisa's face hardened. "You don't understand, Dad. Every time I look at her, I see him. The man who ruined my life. She's nothing but a reminder of my mistakes." I shook my head, disappointment washing over me. "She's a child. She deserves love, not blame." Lisa turned away, her voice cold. "You always take her side. Maybe you should just raise her yourself." I stared at her, realizing for the first time that I might have to do exactly that. That afternoon, I found Emma's suitcase by the front door. A note was taped to it, written in Julia's neat handwriting. If she can't fit in, maybe she should leave. I called a family meeting. I stood at the head of the table, Emma by my side. "This ends now. If you can't accept Emma, then you're not welcome in my home." Mark scoffed. "You'd kick out your own son for her?" I met his gaze, steady and unflinching. I'd do anything to protect her. Julia rolled her eyes. "You're being dramatic." Tom tried to smooth things over. "Let's not overreact. It's just a misunderstanding." I shook my head. "No, it's a pattern, and I won't allow it anymore." Lisa stood, her face red with anger. "Fine. If you want her so much, you can have her. We're leaving." She stormed out, Mark and Julia following. Tom hesitated, then left with them. The house was suddenly quiet, the only sound Emma's soft sobs. I hugged Emma, whispering, "You're safe now, I promise." We spent the next few days together, just the two of us. I cooked her favorite meals, helped her with her homework, and took her for long walks in the park. Slowly, she began to smile again, the shadows lifting from her eyes. But the rest of the family wasn't done. Mark called, demanding I apologize. Julia sent angry texts, accusing me of tearing the family apart. Lisa threatened to take Emma away, claiming I was unfit to care for her. I saved every message, every threat. I knew I'd need them. One evening, as Emma and I watched the snow fall outside, there was a knock at the door. A social worker stood on the porch, a clipboard in her hand. "Mr. Harris, we've received a complaint about Emma's welfare. May we come in?" The social worker's name was Ms. Carter. She stepped inside, her eyes scanning the living room, her tone polite but firm. "We received a report that Emma is being neglected. I need to ask you both a few questions." Emma clung to my side, her eyes wide with fear. I knelt beside her, squeezing her hand. "It's okay, sweetheart. Just tell the truth." Ms. Carter sat with us by the fire, her questions gentle but probing. Did Emma feel safe? Was she ever left alone? Did anyone in the house ever hurt her or make her feel unwanted? Emma's voice was barely a whisper. "I feel safe with Grandpa. He's the only one who cares about me." Ms. Carter nodded, making notes. She asked to see Emma's room, her clothes, her schoolwork. She checked the kitchen, the bathroom, the medicine cabinet. She even looked in the fridge. After an hour, she closed her notebook. "Everything seems fine here, Mr. Harris, but I'll need to follow up with Emma's mother." I nodded, relief and anger warring inside me. "You do what you have to do. I have nothing to hide." As Ms. Carter left, she paused at the door. "You're doing a good job, Mr. Harris. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." But as she drove away, I saw Lisa's car parked down the street, her face pale and furious behind the wheel. The next day, Lisa showed up at the house, her lawyer in tow. She demanded to see Emma, waving a stack of papers in my face. "I'm taking her home. You have no right to keep her from me." I stood my ground. "Emma stays here until the court says otherwise." "You lost that right when you locked her out in the cold." Her lawyer threatened to call the police. I handed him the messages, the note on Emma's suitcase, the report from the social worker. "Go ahead, I'll see you in court." Lisa's face twisted with wrath. "You'll regret this, Dad, I promise." That night, Emma woke me with a scream. She'd had a nightmare. Lisa Year, Elling, Mark and Julia laughing, the door slamming shut. I held her until she fell asleep, my heart breaking for the little girl who just wanted to be loved. The custody battle began. Lisa painted me as a meddling old man, unfit to care for a child. Mark and Julia backed her up, their statements full of half-truths and outright lies. They claimed I was unstable, that I'd turned Emma against her own mother. But I had the truth. I had the social worker's report, the messages, the testimony of neighbors who'd seen Emma locked outside. I had Emma herself, brave and honest, telling the judge what really happened. The hearings dragged on for weeks. Every day I saw Emma's fear and hope, her longing for a family that wouldn't hurt her. Every night I promised her I wouldn't give up. One afternoon, as we left the courthouse, Mark cornered me in the parking lot. His voice was low and cold. "You think you're the hero here. You're just an old fool. When this is over, you'll be alone." I met his gaze, steady and unafraid. I'd rather be alone than part of a family that treats a child like garbage. The final hearing arrived. The courtroom was packed. Lisa, Mark, Julia, Tom, their lawyers, the social worker, the judge. Emma sat beside me, her hand in mine, her eyes shining with quiet strength. Lisa's lawyer made his case, painting me as a villain, but when it was my turn, I stood and spoke from the heart. I may not be perfect, but I know what love is. I know what family is supposed to be, and I know that no child should ever be left out in the cold, on Thanksgiving or any other day. The judge listened, her face unreadable. After a long silence, she spoke. "I've heard enough. Emma will remain in her grandfather's care. This court is appalled by the actions of her mother and extended family. Custody is granted to Mr. Harris, effective immediately." The courtroom erupted. Liz, a screaming, Mark cursing, Julia sobbing, but all I heard was Emma's quiet whisper, "Thank you, Grandpa." The judge's gavel echoed in my ears long after the courtroom emptied. Lisa stormed out, her face twisted with rage, Mark and Julia trailing behind her, their heads down. Tom lingered for a moment, his eyes full of regret, but he said nothing. Emma clung to my hand, her relief so palpable I could feel it in my bones. We walked out into the winter sunlight, the world suddenly brighter. Neighbors and strangers alike stopped to congratulate us, some even apologizing for not stepping in sooner. I realized then how many people had seen what was happening, but had chosen to look away. That night, Emma and I celebrated with hot chocolate and a movie. She curled up beside me on the couch, her head on my shoulder. "Are they really gone, Grandpa?" I kissed her forehead. "They're gone, sweetheart. They can't hurt you anymore." She smiled, the first real smile I'd seen in months. "Can we put up the Christmas tree tomorrow?" I laughed, my heart light. "We can put up two if you want." But peace was short-lived. The next morning, I found a letter slipped under the door. No return address, just a single line. "You may have won in court, but you'll never have a real family." I crumpled the note, refusing to let their poison seep back into our lives. Instead, I focused on building something new. Emma and I decorated the house, baked cookies, and invited her friends from school for a holiday party. The house was filled with laughter, music, and the smell of cinnamon. But the rest of the family wasn't done. Lisa posted angry rants online, painting me as a kidnapper, a manipulator. Mark and Julia spread rumors in the neighborhood, trying to turn people against us. Tom sent a letter begging me to reconsider, to let Emma come home for Christmas. I ignored them all. I'd spent too many years trying to please everyone else. Now I was fighting for Emma and for myself. One evening, as Emma and I walked home from the store, a car pulled up beside us. Lisa leaned out the window, her face pale and desperate. "Emma, please, come home. I miss you." Emma shrank behind me, her voice trembling. "I want to stay with Grandpa." Lisa's eyes filled with tears. "You'll regret this, Dad. I swear you will." She sped off, the threat hanging in the cold night air. I reported the incident to the police, who promised to keep an eye on the house. I installed new locks, security cameras, and made sure Emma was never alone. The fear lingered, but so did our determination. Christmas came, and with it a sense of hope. Emma woke to find the house filled with gifts, the tree sparkling with lights. We spent the day baking, singing, and watching old movies. For the first time in years, the house felt like home. But the rest of the family was unraveling. Mark lost his job, Julia filed for divorce, and Lisa was arrested for harassment after another late-night confrontation. The community turned its back on them, tired of their lies and cruelty. One night, as I tucked Emma into bed, she looked up at me, her eyes shining. "Thank you for saving me, Grandpa. I love you." Tears filled my eyes. "I love you too, Emma, more than anything." The new year brought new beginnings. Emma thrived in school, made new friends, and discovered a love for painting. I joined a support group for grandparents raising grandchildren, sharing my story and helping others find their strength. The pain of the past lingered, but it no longer defined us. We had built something stronger, something real, but I never forgot the lesson of that cold Thanksgiving night. Family isn't just blood. It's love, loyalty, and the courage to stand up for what's right. Spring arrived, and with it a sense of renewal. Emma's laughter filled the house. Her paintings brightened every wall. I watched her blossom, her confidence growing with each passing day. The wounds her mother and the others had left were healing, replaced by hope and trust. But the past wasn't finished with us. One afternoon, as I picked Emma up from school, a woman approached me in the parking lot. She was a social worker, but not the one from before. Her tone was clipped, her eyes cold. "Mr. Harris, we've received new allegations. Emma's mother claims you're isolating her, keeping her from her family." Emma squeezed my hand, her face pale. "I don't want to go with her, Grandpa. Please." I stood tall, my voice steady. "Emma is safe and happy here. You're welcome to visit our home, speak to her teachers, her friends, anyone you like. But I won't let her be hurt again." The social worker nodded, taking notes. "We'll be in touch." That night I found a brick thrown through our front window. Attached was a note. "You can't keep her forever. Blood is blood." I called the police, my anger burning hotter than my fear. I refused to let them win. The next day I met with Emma's teachers and the school counselor. They wrote glowing letters about her progress, her kindness, her resilience. The support group rallied around us, offering help and encouragement. Even neighbors who had once believed Lisa's lies now stood by our side. The social worker returned, this time with a partner. They spent hours in our home, talking to Emma, reviewing her schoolwork, inspecting every room. When they left, their faces were softer, their words kinder. "Emma is thriving here, Mr. Harris. We see no reason to remove her from your care." Relief washed over me, but I knew the fight wasn't truly over. Lisa's bitterness ran deep, and Mark and Julia's resentment simmered just below the surface. One evening, as Emma and I walked in the park, Mark appeared on the path ahead. He looked older, worn down by guilt and regret. He stopped us, his voice rough. "Dad, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I let Julia and Lisa turn me against you. Against Emma. I just wanted to say, I hope you can forgive me." Emma looked up at me, her eyes searching mine. I nodded, my voice thick. "We forgive you, Mark, but you have to earn our trust back." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "I will, I promise." Mark began visiting, helping with repairs around the house, taking Emma to the library, listening to her stories. Slowly, the walls between us crumbled. Julia, too, reached out, apologizing for her cruelty, her jealousy. She admitted she'd been wrong, that she'd let her own pain poison her heart. Lisa, however, remained distant, her anger a wall she refused to tear down. She sent more letters, more threats, but they grew weaker, less frequent. The community had seen the truth, and her power was gone. One night, as Emma and I sat on the porch, she asked, "Do you think Mum will ever love me, Grandpa?" I hugged her close, my heart aching. "I think your mum is lost, sweetheart, but you are loved. By me, by Mark, by everyone who truly matters." She smiled, her eyes shining with hope. "That's enough for me." The seasons changed, and so did our lives. Emma won an art contest at school, her painting displayed in the town hall. Mark and I rebuilt the old treehouse, filling it with books and blankets. Julia became a friend, her laughter genuine, her kindness real. I realized then that revenge isn't always about hurting those who hurt you. Sometimes it's about building something better, something stronger, in the ashes of what was lost. But I never forgot the lesson of that cold Thanksgiving night. Family is not just who you're born to, it's who stands by you when the world turns cold. The first snow of winter fell quietly, blanketing the world in white. Emma and I watched from the window, mugs of cocoa warming our hands. The house was peaceful, filled with the soft glow of Christmas lights and the gentle hum of a life rebuilt. One morning, a letter arrived, this time not from Lisa, but from the court. The judge's final ruling was clear. Emma was to remain in my custody, with Lisa granted supervised visits only if Emma wished. The words felt like a shield, protecting us from the cold that had once crept into every corner of our lives. Emma read the letter, her eyes wide. Does this mean I never have to go back? I smiled, pulling her into a hug. It means you're safe, sweetheart. It means you're home. That evening, as we decorated the tree, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Lisa standing on the porch, her face pale, her eyes rimmed red. She looked at Emma, then at me. I'm sorry, I don't expect you to forgive me. I wanted to see her, to say I'm sorry. Emma hesitated, then stepped forward, her voice soft but strong. I forgive you, Mum, but I want to stay here. Lisa nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I hope one day you'll let me try again. She left without another word, the snow swallowing her footsteps. The holidays came and went, each one brighter than the last. Mark and Julia became regular visitors, their apologies turning into real effort. Tom, too, found his way back, helping Emma with her school projects, sharing stories and laughter. Emma's art flourished. She won another contest, her painting of a warm house in a snowy world displayed in the town library. She stood beside me at the unveiling, her hand in mine, her smile radiant. I realized then that the greatest revenge wasn't anger or punishment. It was showing the world that love, loyalty, and kindness could outlast even the coldest. It's betrayal. A year had passed since that terrible night. This Thanksgiving, the house was full. Mark, Julia, Tom, even a few neighbors who had once believed the worst. Emma set the table, her laughter ringing through the rooms. As we sat down to eat, I looked around at the faces. Some changed, some the same, all of them touched by the storm we'd survived. I raised my glass. To family. The one we choose, the one we fight for, the one we build together. Emma grinned. And to Grandpa, who never let me freeze. The room erupted in laughter and applause. For the first time in years, I felt truly at peace. That night, as Emma and I sat by the fire, she leaned against me, her voice sleepy. Thank you for saving me, Grandpa, for loving me when no one else would. Tears filled my eyes. You saved me too, Emma. You reminded me what family really means. The snow fell outside, but inside the warmth was real. The pain of the past was gone, replaced by hope, forgiveness, and the quiet joy of a life rebuilt. I knew there would be challenges ahead, but I also knew we would face them together, stronger, wiser, and unbreakable.